Sophia Harris here from ḽʟᴏ Global Consulting. And I would like to share with you today, briefly, an amazing case study in how to strategically pivot during a crisis that I came across recently. And I absolutely love case studies because they give you real life examples of how major global brands have been able to navigate this pandemic, this global crisis, and not only survive but thrive and go public to boot. So let's talk about some of my key takeaways from this study, and I will try and get the team to put together some content for posting around this same topic as a follow through so that you have something that you can save, share, comment on, and like and check back with in the future so that it's always there for you. All right, so Airbnb. And before I get into Airbnb, one of the main reasons I wanted to do this quick video is that a main theme of how global economies in the fourth industrial revolution are thriving and doing well is by being, like Amazon, customer obsessed, but like most global businesses trying to plan for future global instances, prep for disruption and be sustainable long term, they're being more stakeholder obsessed and centric. So let's talk about, briefly, what's in it for you being customer focused, and why does customer experience matter? Well, I can tell you that based on research and the data, when you provide a frictionless, seamless, integrated customer experience, you create brand champions that helps you curb your marketing spend long-term, reduces churn, and the cost of retaining customers is a lot less than new customer acquisition. So you save, it affects your bottom line tremendously. User-generated content and influencers are big, social commerce is big, but you have to first define what your organizational objectives are and how they align with your target persona and what matters to them. Are you where they are located? And are you communicating your relevance to them? And you'll see when I speak about Airbnb how significant it was to their pivot and rebound last year. So, you define your persona, you look at what their touch points are. Do they prefer mobile, or do they do most of their transactions on the laptop or the PC? Are they, prone to social commerce? Are they averse, traditional, depending on the demographics and the age group, the gender? So all of these things, you need to lay that foundation and connect the dots between, what matters to your target persona and how it aligns with your organizational culture, model, and objectives. Is your business model supportive of new technologies? And every company either is or needs to be en route to becoming a digital or tech-based or tech-empowered company, whether you're D2C or B2B. And it is so important for you to know and communicate what matters to your consumers. It's critical, and you need to understand what the consumer's journey is along your entire platform. Have you plotted that? That's critical. So I wanted to say those little, tactic points before I get into this case study, because it was so good, so good. All right, so Airbnb lost 80% of their business in 8 weeks. All right, and this happened as the pandemic was taking off last year, around March, April, I believe. And the CEO, Brian Chesky, I believe his name is, felt like he was facing the worst crisis he'd ever felt or faced in his life, and he was thrusted into the role of a captain of a ship that was hit in the side by weapons, bulldozers, and was at a serious threat of sinking. So what did he have to do? He had to, one, move fast. And if it's one of the things that Brian Chesky has communicated over and over again, is that a lot of companies in the pandemic and in any crisis, they succumb to analysis paralysis. They slow down, they move slow in their decision making. And one of his key takeaways was no, he had to move fast. And he had to move from making what he referred to as business decisions to principle-based decisions, which means, what are our core principles? What do we stand for? How do we fit into, what's our role in the society and the wider economy? And how do we make decisions from that point, from our principles, from our role? And how do we lead with compassion, understanding, seeking goodwill in a crisis? Because as ruthless as they were, cutting initiatives to cut costs, they invested heavily in ensuring that the 1,900 layoffs that they had to execute, they gave them excellent severance packages. They even took a loan to do that. They took a lot of the money that they saved giving back to employees, because their position was, listen, we have to pivot. So quick decision making, restructuring the business model, cutting away all of the extensions to the businesses that weren't aligned with the core for lean operation and efficiency. And then we had to give back to our employees and to the society, because if the society is not rooting for you to succeed, they're not going to buy your products and services. And if your employees don't feel like you care, they're not going to rally together and produce. And then there we go, we talk about the intrinsic joy of work, which I spoke about in the Six Sigma Deming-based theory. People have to enjoy and find fulfillment in their work, and they'll be much more productive. As much as you want to focus on creating brand champions, you need to have internal stakeholders who are your champions as well, because it bodes for greater productivity and higher performance, which affects your bottom line by reducing costs, right? So let me give you a few more before I have to run, because I have a meeting. Another takeaway was, when they were about to launch their IPO, they had gone back to the fundamentals, like what really was Airbnb's core value? What was the contribution they were making to society? You know, why should society want you around, was the basic question. And they stuck to that, built around that, and had a successful public offering last year in the middle of the pandemic, the worst of it. So I say this to say, make quick decisions. Don't sit back thinking you can ride this out. The world is changing around you and you will be left behind. And take big, bold, quick movements. Be strategic. Look at the data, but don't get stuck trying to write it out or overanalyze. You have to make solid decisions, and you have to be aligned with what your customers want, what matters to all your stakeholders, and what's going to keep you around for the long haul. Like grooming your business to be around 10, 15, 20 years from now, not just ride out every single new, finish point that the government or the society is giving you. Oh, this will be over in 2 months, 3 months, but it's still here 1 year, and 4 months later? It's time for us to reimagine, refocus, rebuild, come up with a new business model, and re-strategize. Engage experts, specialists, consultants, coaches to help you. We are an extension, for example, LGC, an extension of your team. We can just help you bridge those gaps and navigate the storms. But there's always opportunity in a crisis. You can do this. We're in this together. Reach out to us anytime. www.ḻaoglobalconsulting.com. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and we're here to help. You can schedule a free consultation by clicking the link in our bio and completing the form. Easy peasy. Thanks so much for listening, and have a good one.